The only outbreaks that have occurred in schools have been when you've had a significant number of additional people in a school setting. They haven't occurred in traditional classroom settings. So we can be confident that, provided the right measures are in place, that teachers and students will be safe. And that's why it's so important that we talk to the teachers who, of course, have been working incredibly hard throughout this period, teaching those children who have been in school, children of key workers and children from disadvantaged homes.
OK, let's turn to the really important question, which is how? Because you've told everyone they must carry on socially distancing, very difficult for small children. But how do you make classrooms, which used to be crammed with kids, safe going forward?
Well, we can learn from what other countries have done. Denmark is one such, where children have returned to primary school. And it may have been the case in many of the primary classrooms that you or I might have visited in the last couple of years, that we'll have seen children working together in groups around a table. Children will have to be distanced now, sitting at desks in a way which might seem rather more traditional. And we can do that by making sure that we have staggered lunch breaks, staggered breaks for play, and we can have children arriving in a staggered fashion as well. And we can make sure that you have one adult per class and that you cap class sizes at 15.
And you can be absolutely sure, given if class sizes are capped at 15, that means there aren't going to be enough rooms available in the traditional school, the traditional system. So therefore, are you going to have some system whereby kids maybe come in the afternoon and not the mornings, or on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, but not Tuesdays? Is that the kind of thing you're looking at?
Well, the reason why we're only bringing back reception year 1 and year 6 first is to ensure that we do have that space and that flexibility. And then we hope to be able to bring back more primary school children after that. But we're talking, obviously, to academy school chain leaders and to local authorities and others in order to make sure that we can get children to return, that classrooms can be used effectively, and that we can have one adult in that classroom with 15 or fewer children.
And you can sit here and guarantee that no teacher is going to catch coronavirus as a result of going back to school?
Well, the only way ever to ensure that you never catch coronavirus is to stay at home completely. There is always in any loosening of these restrictions a risk of people catching the coronavirus.
But you can guarantee their safety, and it sounds like, from what you're saying, you can't really.
Yes.
It's personal risk.
Well, the key thing is that we can make these workplaces safe. You can never eliminate risk, but as we know, as we've heard, it is the case that it's extremely unlikely that any school is likely to be the source of a COVID outbreak. Okay. And if for any reason there are risks, then we can take steps to mitigate them.
So what do you say to councils like Liverpool, Hartlepool, Greater Manchester, who've said, we've looked at the advice from the BMA, we've talked to the teachers, and we are not going to reopen on the 1st of June?
Well, I'd respectfully ask them to think again, to broaden the range of scientific advice that they look at. I know the BMA has the best interests of its members at heart, but actually the clear scientific and clinical advice is that it is safe to have schools reopen, accompanied with social distancing. And the other thing that I would say in particular is, look, children only have one chance at education. Over the course of the last decade, we've made significant strides in closing the gap between the richest and the poorest in our schools. This lockdown has put that backwards. If you really care about children, you will want them to be in school, you'll want them to be learning, you'll want them to have new opportunities. So, look to your responsibilities.
Do you see some kind of political anti-government agenda from the unions in this?
No, I think the unions, entirely understandably, want to look after their members and they're being cautious. But I would encourage them to think about the future of the children who are all our first concern. And I would urge them also to look at the science and to listen to the scientists and clinicians, to look at foreign examples and to say, look, if progressive countries like Denmark can be teaching children and have them back in schools, so should we. You know, the whole point about being a teacher is that you love your job. It's a mission, a vocation to be able to excite young minds. So teachers want to be in the classroom. They also want it to be safe. We can keep them safe and we can get them doing the job they love.
Isn't the truth? You say we can keep them safe, but you can't guarantee they won't catch coronavirus. Isn't the truth that teachers, like many other people, are going to have to take personal risk and go back to work? Weigh up the balance, weigh up the risks, and decide to do that?
Of course, you can try to insulate yourself completely from any risk. You can stay at home and hope that not only will you not catch a virus, but that you won't be exposed to other risks. The whole point about life is that you need to manage risk in a way that keeps people as safe as possible. And we know that school settings are not the sources of infection that some have feared. We know that they can be made safe and appropriate working places. And it is the case that, people on the NHS frontline, people who are providing us with our food, people...
Yeah, and they're catching coronavirus.
Well, we are doing everything we can, of course, to reduce the infection